You're listening to Rise to Your Purpose, a personal and spiritual development podcast for female entrepreneurs with a mission.
We're your hosts, Brandie and Natalie.
Hi friends, thank you so much for joining. I'm Brandie. I'm one of the creators of the Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising and the Rise to Your Purpose program and podcast. And my passion is helping entrepreneurs align their values with their business so that they can create a mission-driven business with a kingdom impact. So I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend, Melanie. I'm like, oh my gosh, Ulceus. I almost psyched myself out of saying it. I was like, I know I'm going to butcher it, but I got it right.
It's okay.
Her last name's Melanie is a life coach, and she specializes in helping women move past their pain in their lives with her brand mindset to mindfulness. And so a little bit, I'm going to let you share most of your story, but just to kind of give you guys a background. Her journey started 2 years ago after a sexually abusive relationship. And so she's able to turn that around and inspired her to create a community of over 3,000 like-minded people, which I think is so beautiful, and take them through their own healing process. So today we're going to be discussing building your brand around your mission-driven business. And so Melanie, if you want to start sharing just like more about your mission and mission around your community and your business, we would love to hear more.
Sure. So thank you so much, Brandie, for having me here first and foremost. I could not be greater and happier to just be in your presence and helping you with your brand as well. So my journey has always been focused around healing. You know, as she said, I was in a sexually abusive relationship and it ended back in 2018. I actually started an empowerment platform when this woman named Leslie found me for network marketing. So I was a network marketer prior. So I was basically in a very painful point in my life. And one of the things that I realized that I had surfaced was not being able to deal with my emotions. I was suppressing a lot and constantly felt weighed down. I felt like I could not get out of my own head. Okay. Not only that, I was in an environment that was very toxic to my growth. So I was trying to heal from a place in which I came from, and it didn't go anywhere because the weight of the environment, the weight of my emotional state, it just kept me in a stagnant place. Mm-hmm. So through that, I took it and I put it all on Facebook. I put where my pain points were. I put the positive quotes that I wanted to encompass along my journey, what I wanted to attract in my life. And then years later, now I'm a life coach. So I specialize in helping women move past pain in their lives. A lot of the women who I do work with, they are currently or former network marketers, but there are women who specifically just struggle with releasing the weight, releasing the blockages in their life. And I'm really the one to show them the vehicle to get there.
I love that so much. And I think it's so important, especially as entrepreneurs, if you want to like get to that next level, you kind of have to break down those barriers. And a lot of our barriers are from trauma or pain or suffering. And we kind of need to address those before and release them before we actually can up level and move on. So that's why I'm really excited to have you on and share your mission and your brand, because life coaching has helped me so much, which is not only finding my mission and my purpose, but also just like finding my voice again and healing and recovering from my past pain and trauma and allowing myself and accepting myself and like most importantly, loving myself through that. And right. So I just think as an entrepreneur, it's so important that we are addressing our emotional side of the house and our mental side of the house, because if those are not in order, then we can't really enjoy the success that we have or achieve the success that we want. So I would love for you to talk a little bit more about your name, how you came up with your name and your brand for your community.
Sure. So definitely mindset to mindfulness. So the mindset portion comes from the actual process of what I wanted to accomplish. Okay. I knew that I needed to look within myself and develop a strong mindset in order to get to where I am today. So I've always focused on a mindset process. Okay. Healing, personal development books, meditation, things like that helped me develop a stronger awareness of who I was, and then in turn help other women in that same manner. The mindfulness portion comes to the understanding of who we are today. So that's really how I've just fused together the brain and the actual current reality of what we're facing. And that's how Mindsets of Mindfulness came to be.
I love it. I always love like finding what inspired a name, because, you know, people do think so much about a name, and it's fun to hear like the backstory of that.
Right.
So you have like an awesome community of like 3,000 beautiful souls, as you call them. How did you grow your community? What are some tips that we can share with our entrepreneur community?
Sure. So definitely being authentic. I'm sure you guys hear this a lot, but I can't stress enough. If you are in a place where you can be your authentic self in this world today, that is definitely going to help you, because you can see how people are engaging with you on a one-to-one level. So I noticed the more that I shared about my pain points, that's what my community enjoyed. Another thing is be passionate about your niche. I did not know that I would be passionate about helping women in business and women in network marketing specifically. It just so happened that I was a network marketer prior, and you know, we just shared similar experiences in our life, and then I found a connection there. The more I shared, the more I realized that I enjoyed it, the more I realized that I could share more, and then in turn, people started sharing my stuff. So just as long as you're being real with yourself and you're being real with the people that you come across, everything else is going to work itself out.
Yes, definitely. Like that, we're all about authenticity here at Rise, you know, Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising in our Rise to Your Purpose program, because we want people to be like, you have a calling that only you can complete. And so you need to show up and figure out what that is, and then show up and live it out. So I love, yeah, anytime and as I've gone on my journey, and I know we kind of talked about this a little bit ago, once I became vulnerable and allowed myself to just speak my truth, that's when I started to attract those right people to me. And like you said, I became passionate about my niche, and I'm like, I can serve these people, and I can take the pain I've been through, or just, you know, my journey, and turn around and help that next person behind me. So I love that you said you're passionate about your niche. And I think as we're building our communities and we're building our brands, like it's really important to identify who our niche is, who's that target audience that we're going to serve, and building our brand and our community to serve them. So you've been in life coaching for a couple years now, or right?
So I just launched the practice this month. I've been growing the platform for 2 years.
Okay. Awesome. What is one thing that you know now that you wish you would have known like 2 years ago, or, you know, as you were going on your journey?
You know what, that even though that I'm being vulnerable, it doesn't mean that I have to be so fearful of the next step. And I feel like for a while I was circling in what direction I could take the empowerment community in. I was so scared that if, you know, what if I just stop posting the positive quotes, will they still like me? Or what if I just stop my account? What will happen? No, honestly, I enjoyed it. I wish I would have then just realized that, you know, it's okay to take breaks with myself. It's okay to be fearful at times. It's okay to go out also and seek help. I had a lot of help and guidance. I can't take into account everything that I have today is on my own. I have great mentors to back me up, and people who I've invested in, and people who I've come across. But just be willing to get comfortable with the unknown is something that I wish I would have known back then.
I think that's perfect advice, especially as entrepreneurs. Like you're kind of like, you have to be uncomfortable with, or you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you
Right.
are, as an entrepreneur, if you want to succeed and go to that next level, you do have to stretch and continue to grow and try new things and pivot. And especially in the quarantine COVID situation that we're in right now, like we've, as entrepreneurs, have had to pivot and have had to like rethink strategies. And I think that's beautiful, because it causes people to become more creative and think outside of the box and test their limits a little bit. And so I love what you said about how we have to be uncomfortable with the unknown, because nobody knows what the next step is, but
Right.
I'm like really into Frozen 2 right now. And nah, you're like, girl, you're watching American Next Top Model and Frozen 2, like, I'm all over the place. But there's a song on there, like, it has so many good, like, life lessons. But there's a song and it's like, take the next right step or do the next right thing. And I'm like, oh, I could totally put that into my entrepreneurial journey. Like, I can relate to that.
Brandie, you are so cute. I can't even take you.
Seriously, if you haven't watched it, I'm like, it's great. It's really good.
Oh my God, Olaf would be proud of you.
But it's so true. It's like you kind of just, you don't know what that, you know, what's at the top of the staircase, but you just kind of have to take that next step and figure out, like, do you need to pivot or, you know, keep going? And I like to say, like, when you take the step, you'll feel peace. And that's
Right.
your confirmation that, okay, you stepped in the right direction.
Right.
What advice would you give to entrepreneurs, especially new ones right now, since you're kind of in that same space, to grow their online community? I know you mentioned being vulnerable. Do you have any other advice?
Turn out the noise. Okay, honestly, this has been my number one thing. And especially if you're an entrepreneur who suffers from shiny object syndrome like I do, if you truly 110% believe in that, in the message that you deliver, you will not be distracted by Facebook ads. You will not be distracted by people in your inbox trying to sell you something. You will be 110% focused on what you have to offer. And when I realized at that very moment that I can help women move past pain in their lives, and I have the formula to do so, I could tune out anything, any distraction that's coming up, because it's just a whole bunch of noise that's going to deter you from your end goal. So be mindful of who you are and what you have to offer, and just tune out all the stuff you see online, because there's so much. It's so much going on. Focus on your mission and only align yourself with things that'll help you get there.
Yes. I mean, I'm like, amen to that. I think we all kind of have to figure that out for ourselves, because like I spent like 3 or 4 months last year just like pruning myself, pruning like relationships, pruning like businesses and opportunities, and figuring out like, what is my true voice? How do I want to show up? And what do I need to keep? And what do I need to purge? And it's so freeing once you get to that space where you're just like, this is how I'm showing up. This is my truth. And I'm just going to do it. And I don't need all this extra stuff. And it's just, yeah, it's a great feeling. So that's like such great advice. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I love it. Have you had to pivot during the COVID and quarantine stuff? I know you're pretty much online. So have you seen an impact, or how has the quarantine and COVID impacted your online space?
Loved it. Launched my business right towards the middle of it. Loved it. Had some great success because so many people now have time to actually engage. There's no distractions, and people are kind of bored. So, you know, having those conversations again with your potential clientele, that's a little hint and trick. And just honestly, like, I got my first client. I have another prospective one coming through next month, which is exciting. But Corona has helped me.
I know. You're like, thanks, girl.
Yeah, I was like, thank you, quarantine.
I felt the same. I mean, I was on maternity leave when this all broke out. So I was like, for me, it was like the isolation hit me. I'm like, okay, wait. So now I can't even go hang out with people. But it honestly, like, it made me so much more creative. And like, that's how we spun up this podcast I was bored on maternity leave. I'm like, wait, I had a baby, but I need more in my life, you know? Like, I want to talk to people. I can't just do noises all day long. So that's kind of how this podcast. So I'm with you. Like, I think it's been a blessing in disguise for the online entrepreneurs. It's been amazing to kind of have that freedom and that space to be creative and kind of think outside the box. And so how is God working through you in your business right now, would you say?
Oh my God, he is the first thing I think of when I wake up in the morning. I feel like there was a point where I had a very bad time with God, and I was angry because I could not understand the situations that he placed me in. from the relationship to my own parents to everything that was just like falling out of whack in my life. But I understood later on, as I had a mindset routine, which is key before I do anything else in my business or in my life, that he put me there to serve. He put me in those situations so that I can be the one to help lead by example and give the right women the way, show them how to properly heal from their traumas. So he is someone who I thank each and every moment, each and every single day of my life. I could not have gotten this far without her, without him, he, her, whoever got God is a woman, Ariana Grande.
I love it.
But I definitely am so grateful to be connected to such a divine source, to know that everything is always going to be okay.
Yeah, that is so true. And I just like having that peace that surpasses understanding is just amazing. And having that faith to know, like, regardless of what happens today, like actually the Bible verse I put on my story today was like, do not worry, do not be anxious about tomorrow and about like what you're going to eat and where, you know, the clothes on because you're going to be taken care of. God always provides. And so I love that you mentioned that. And like you have your mindful morning routine that you do where you said you go to him or her.
Right.
Did you ever watch The Shack? The movie The Shack?
I've never watched that.
It's a book too, I love the movie. I've watched it multiple times and I cry every time I watch it. But like it's so beautiful, and in the movie, I think Octavia Spencer, she plays God. And so like they portray God as a woman for like bits and pieces, because on the journey he needs like a mother figure, and then like when he's going through forgiveness he needs a father figure. So God turns into like a male.
Wow.
And I just think I think that is true. Like sometimes God can be like more of that comforting nurturer person, and then we can flip it and he can be that like, I need that strong father figure. So I think it's so cool that you said him, like, because it really, you know, he's our, you know, he could be our ultimate father, but he can take different forms for what you need. Like sometimes, you know, I picture God, I just crawl into his lap and I'm just like laying there crying, and, you know, or it's like me high-fiving him, you know, like I picture, you know, I'm picturing my relationship with Jesus and God, like I do kind of imagine them as different images, if you will, you know, what our human minds can fathom. Which I think, you know, God he made us creative beings, and so like he created the platypus, for crying out loud, you know, so
Platypus.
you know, so it's like we're all, I think it's the more creative, I think he appreciates that, and I think that's awesome. So is there anything else before we wrap up that you want to just like give to the audience or share? We definitely want to know where people can find you and how they can support your mission and come alongside you on your journey.
So first you can find me at www.facebook.com/Melanie Ulceus, first and last name, as shown on this Zoom camera. That's where my community is hosted. I have a Mindset to Mindfulness Accelerator program for any one of you who feels like you are ready to just take that weight off your life and start living the life that you deserve. Another thing that I want to say is, you know, as a lot of people who are listening to this, you might be stuck, right? You might be unsure of your path and your journey. Number one, enjoy the process. Mm-hmm. Number two, tune out the noise, like we recapped in this video. And number three, really have faith that you can do it. Sometimes like you're gonna reach some discouraging moments, but you know the business model you want when you find yourself doing it consistently. When you realize in the morning that it's something that you think about, something that you get excited for, follow that feeling and fuel it into something that could really be impactful for the world.
Yes. Thank you so much, Melanie. Like that was beautiful. I just loved our conversation. It was so good. I will post your links. Do you have like a link for your program or like a capture
I have a
page?
type form. I don't have like a capture page,
Okay.
but anyone can friend me on Melanie Ulceus.
Okay.
I'm still working on a landing page. It's been something.
Well, let me know if you need help with that because I do specialize.
Really?
I got the IT side down. Yeah.
Really? Oh my God. Oh my God. We have to connect
Yeah,
after
we'll
this.
talk. We'll touch after this.
Sure.
Before we wrap up, I do so hashtag self-love is like a hashtag. I don't know that I created it, but it's one I'm using right now this year. Like self-love is, I thought of it in the shower and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's other people using this hashtag before I thought of it, but whatever, I'm owning it right now. So as we are in the entrepreneur space, and I feel like self-love is so important, what is your like hashtag self-love is, what is that to you?
Self-love is patience.
Yeah.
Self-love is patience. Let me tell you, you're not going to know for the first couple of moments that you practice self-love what really works for you. So the more you have patience with the process and yourself, the better it is for you to really enjoy that moment of who you are, you know, because we focus so much on the angle. Like you have to enjoy the actual process of loving yourself, because that's really how you get to learn more about who you are and how you can help yourself build upon what you're feeling.
Beautiful. I'm not even gonna comment on it because I think it's like so perfect.
I'm so flattered.
I love it. Thank you so much, Melanie. I appreciate your time and I appreciate you and your words of wisdom that you brought to our community today. So thank you so much. And I will make sure to post your link in our notes and in the comments. So make sure you guys go follow her. Thank you.
Rise Your Purpose will be a weekly podcast. Our hope is to inspire and educate you on your entrepreneurial journey to help you fuel your passions, live your purpose, and build a business that works for you. You can subscribe, rate, and comment on any podcast app. We'd love to hear from you. It makes us so happy to see you tuning in to the show. So if you're on Instagram, let us know what your favorite part of the show was by taking a screenshot of the episode you tuned into and tag us at Live Victorious on your story. Let us know what your favorite quote or takeaway from the episode was so that we can be inspired to keep creating content like this for you. To learn more about us and get involved with our community of mission-driven entrepreneurs, join our Facebook group, Purpose Partners, where we partner together in faith and business. So until next time, build a business that works for you and stay in alignment with your mission.